to clarify how and when these stories get accepted. Is it done on review or is it done mid-sprint? What are your expectations of that?
Okay, a few stories I think are ready for testing, which means it is ready for QA's testing. So two stories has been resolved. And test has been passed from QA end and has been pushed to UAT. You have done, yeah. So those two stories are ready for your acceptance, yeah, the testing and
Okay.
acceptance.
So how do we flag this in the workflow? I'm just having a look on our sprint board.
Okay.
So when I see ready for testing, I don't know if that's QA or UAT. So I think we need a way of being able to flag to product owner that the story is ready for UAT. Otherwise, I won't know.
What we have initially planned is, Kath, are you able to see my screen?
Let's have a look. Yep, I can see your screen, Kalpana.
Okay. So we have added few more columns as discussed earlier, ready for testing and in testing. So once the developer is done, he or she will move to ready for testing and tag the QAs and informing the story is ready for testing and it is available in the QA environment. So they will tag them and then inform it is ready for testing. And once the story is in testing, the QA will change the status to in testing. And then once the testing is passed, they will mark it as resolved. Let me open one. Mark it as resolved. The status will be in resolved, and in the resolution, it will be as test passed or fixed. So if it is failed, then they will mark it as test failed under resolution, and the status will be moved to reopen. So once it is once it clears the testing, the QA will actually tag you under the comment section. So cat QA testing completed for this story and the issue was resolved. Also, you should mention like it is ready for your testing. It is moved for UAT. So that's how we have planned cat.
Okay, so I will be, that's great. So as long as it's flagged to me in some way, I'm happy with that. And there's probably no need to attach screenshots because I will actually go into QA and test it. So that'll just save you some time. Oh. Yeah, so if I see a story is ready to be tested, I'll go in and test it.
Okay, Kat. Also, we will ask QAs to ping in the Slack channel as well.
That would be great. Yeah, that would be really great. It's just that the days are busy and there are a lot of emails and a lot of notifications. So anything that can make it really transparent would be helpful. So
sure, Kat.
I guess our expectation as a team, and let me check this, is that I will test all of the stories before sprint review. Yeah, is that our expectation as a team?
Yes, Kat. So as and when the team completes their testing, they will move it for your testing. So whenever you have time, you can do it and then you can mark it as done.
Okay, that's great. And I think, as I said to you last week, it won't always be possible to test on the day. Yeah. So usually I'll be testing within 1 to 2 days of seeing that notification that it's ready.
Okay, Kat. So we will complete it before the last day or end of last.
That's our goal, isn't it? That I have looked at all of the tested stories before we finish the sprint. That should be our goal. So yeah, that's fine.
Okay, Kat. And
all right. And then if I find any issues, I will add them as comments to the story, right? So what I do on another project is there's actually a ticket called PO acceptance. I don't know if we want to do that here or whether we just comment on the story. But yeah, I mean, sometimes I've worked on projects where we actually create acceptance subtasks and attach them to a story, and then I will move that to done. But I will defer to you here, Kalpana, however you think we should work.
Kath, I think just after your testing, you can just add your comments.
Yeah, okay.
Then you can mark it as closed for that story. That should
Okay.
be, I think, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so Kath, we have few questions from the team. We have Aditi here from the front.
Hi, Aditi. Hello.
Shall I open 382? 383. Okay. Cat username field when we create.
Aditi? Sorry, Aditi, I can't hear you. Could you come a little closer?
Yeah, actually, am I audible?
Yeah, that's much better.
Yeah. When we create a user, there is a username field. So its maximum length should be 256 character, and if user exceeds 256 character, what should be the error message that should be displayed? Should it be please complete the username field correctly or what? I'm confused about it.
We could have username cannot exceed 256 characters.
Okay. And should user be able to input more than 256 characters or not?
Okay, so can I show you an example of how we've done it somewhere else, and then you can let me know what you think? This is what I am thinking right now. So I'm going to share my screen in just a minute.
Okay.
Okay, let me share my screen, and okay, I think you guys may need to stop sharing.
Sorry. Done.
Oh, no problem. Can you see my screen?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so let's just put some stuff in. Let me make that bigger. Right. So as soon as I hit 256, I get this. So that's the message that we can use. Username cannot be longer than 256 characters. I can keep putting text in, but what it's not doing, it's not going to let me it's not going to let me create that user. Okay, so it's an invalid field. So it doesn't matter that I keep putting text in. The fact is I won't be able to create a user while I've exceeded 256 characters. So I think we could do a similar thing.
Okay, Kat. And should we add similar functionality for first name, last name, password, and everything because it was not there previously?
Let's have a think. So first name and last name is 64 characters, right?
Yeah.
I've just realized they're the same field. That's a little bit odd. I think we're going to need to, so maybe we're going to need something that's bigger, actually, than 64 characters. They're the same field. I think we should increase that. So we could have a field that maybe we double that, which would be, what is that? So it's 128, isn't it? So maybe we make this 128 characters. We could have it work in the same way as here. So where you can keep inputting text, but you get an error message and it means it's an invalid field. And then for password and email, I mean, email, our limit is the same, 256, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's the same. And also for email, we need to kind of say, let's see what it does here. We need to say use a valid format. So I would need to do that, right?
For email, we don't.
We don't have email
We
field
don't
itself.
even have email field. Okay. And what should we do if this was not actually provided previously? This input. So if this time we'll be able to fix it because it's a small fix. But from next time, if this kind of requirement is changed, then what we need to do?
Depends on the complexity we will
Okay.
prioritize it.
So here we have email cannot be longer. And then please use a valid email format. So we actually have an error message that says both. And then password, it's the same, right? So I think we have a minimum character set. So we've got Pearson password policy, which is a minimum character set. So this is the one that I was talking about previously, where you actually have this broken out. So if I don't do any of these, then I get all of the messages. If, say, I do one of them, so password must be at least 8 characters. That is valid, but yeah, this is because this one is, you have to pick at least 2, right? So yeah, so here it says actually you haven't used the number or a special character. So even though you've got the correct length, so that message about length has vanished,
Okay.
you haven't used the number or character. Yeah. So I think we need these, I would follow this. I think we should follow this approach. So I think these are the error messages we need. How do you want me to break this out? How do you want me to?
Sorry, this print or next print?
For password, Kat said she'll be creating a new one.
In this print or in the next print where she is creating that? I don't know. Okay. Kat, for password, I asked you to create a new story or new bug.
Yep, which I'll do today.
Okay. Will it be created in this print or next print?
Do we have time to do it in the sprint?
I mean, she's asking whether you have bandwidth to complete it within a day or two, because QA people have to complete the testing as well, right?
If not, we'll put it in the next sprint.
Yes, Kat, it would be better to take it up in the next sprint.
As well as we'll have to
Okay.
in backend validations as well. So,
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So we have a dependency with backend too, Kat. So we'll.
Okay.
We'll do it
So
into
okay.
Username.
So
first name, last name, username, password.
Everything next print.
Okay.
okay. So in the next sprint, we'll have a story about password, and then also, should we have a separate story on username and a separate one on email and a separate one on first name and last name? You guys tell me how you would like me to do this.
Yeah, we can have everything in a single story and have it
Everything in a single story, including password?
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay. So I will create that, and I will talk about the lengths. So what makes an invalid field or a valid field. And I will also talk about the error messages that we need to see. Now, how are you guys on designs? Because obviously you, I don't think you have, oh no, you do, don't you? Do have designs for error messages because we have existing error messages.
Yeah, we just need to change the text. The designs are provided.
Got it. Okay, no problem. So I will do a new story for create user that includes all of these things.
Okay.
Okay. I wasn't totally sure what the previous team had implemented. Otherwise, I would have specified this up front. So sorry that it's a change, but we can accommodate that in the next sprint.
It's okay, Kat.
That same story will be reflected to site admin and the system. Because we have two models now. Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Same thing,
Free
two different
password.
So
stories.
wherever that field is applicable, then we need to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Kat, we would need 2 different story, one for site admin and one for system admin, Kat.
Yeah, one system admin, one site admin.
And another for?
Create user, system admin, site admin.
So 3 different stories.
Either
Okay.
creating three
Just a
things.
minute, Kat. A small.
Sure.
One is for system module and another one is for that institution module.
And for username
No,
also we
institution
have.
module only it's the user will
For
be loading,
user,
right?
create user.
Everything comes on the same.
Same page only, no?
Two is enough.
Two is enough.
Okay.
Okay, sorry for the confusion, Kath. It's just going to be 2 stories, one for the system
Site
admin and another for the site admin.
That's fine. Yeah, no
Okay.
problem. Okay.
Okay, and we have one more question, Kath.
I'll stop sharing my screen now.
Okay, Kath, I'll start sharing. Hi, Jack. Good morning.
Morning. So it's like
No problem. We are just clarifying a few questions from the current sprint.
Guys, I don't think I'm sharing my screen anymore. Is that correct?
Yes, Kath.
Awesome. Thank you.
Inside 447, there is a subtask where paginator is being created.
Okay.
Even open QA environment so that we can show them the
QA environment, you know the.
I don't remember. Do you remember the link for QA?
No,
The
I
whole
don't.
link.
It's okay. Just tell her what is. It's okay. Just carry over.
Kat, as I asked that we need to add pagination for cart in mobile view,
Okay.
the designs are being provided by Jack, but I have added pagination that is somewhat similar to the table view pagination. The design which is provided, I am facing some issues while implementing it, so I might require a bit of time for it. Or we can.
Okay. Do you want to show us anything now? Can we help you with this now?
Maybe she can.
Is there anything you want to discuss? Because we have Jag on the call as well. So is there anything you would like to discuss?
I can show the demo.
Yeah, but from your laptop, from your system.
It's up to you. Honestly, Aditi, it's up to you. If it's not helpful, then no problem. But I'm just thinking while we're on the call, you might just want to work through some of this now. And I think we have time.
Yes, Kath. We will share it in a minute.
Okay, no problem.
You just open the dev and either use it.
Yeah.
You submit
Open
it.
Dev Zero.
I mean, link.
That we don't
You didn't
remember. I
open
thought.
any before?
Zero down.
We have the SRW.
SRW dot.
Or he can open Jenkins, and Jenkins also we have the link. After every story there will be link.
SRW dot, right?
Does this help?
Yeah,
Yes.
this link.
It's qa.srw.pearson.
SRW.
So default.
Manage user. If one second.
Okay, let me share my screen.
Just a second. This kind of pagination.
Okay. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Yeah, Cat. So this is the card view, and below this card view, there is this pagination. I am able to implement this kind of pagination. Like you can see 10 more cards after clicking here, like that.
Or yeah. Okay. Or you can change the total at the bottom, right? So you could say, I want to see 20. Yeah.
Yeah, we can change.
Cool. Okay.
But the design provided, the Zeppelin design provided,
It's different.
is a bit different.
Okay.
I am facing some difficulties while implementing it.
and need more time to implement that, it seems.
Okay, understood. But let's have a look at whether we need to follow the designs exactly, right? So let's look at what is the difference.
Yeah.
2 days before only Jack has set it. Yeah, this one. No, that also here.
Is this the one?
Not this one. Scroll a bit.
Tablet landscape.
The file. Yeah, the below.
Okay.
So this is how the pagination is being provided by Jack. But I'm facing a bit issue, so I have implemented only like this as of now. Can we carry on the story in next sprint, and like, should we keep it like this for this sprint? Will it be okay?
Can you just go back to the Zeppelin again?
Yeah.
Meaning 2 days ago, Jack had changed his designs.
Yeah,
from
he's
what
provided.
you have provided. Okay. So in that case,
So I guess my my question is really whether we need to follow these designs exactly. So what is the advantage of this design over what you have done, Aditi? Is it that this Jag's design has more space, in that it looks as if the way that you've implemented it currently, we've got less space because there's more going on at the bottom of that screen, right? So if you go back to your design.
Yeah, one second.
You just switch view. Yeah, so I mean, it means that we're a little more squashed up, I guess. But it's still, I don't know. It's still it's still working. Jag, can you give me your view on this?
Yeah, I'd say so. The designs that I provided are more touch friendly. Right. It's a little bit more fiddly to on a
right. Okay.
screen.
Okay.
I mean, if it was going to go something similar to what we've got here, I would, if it was easier, I would try to keep those on. See, we got like row per page, and then you got above that, you got the you can go back and forth. We're trying to keep them on one line. It doesn't look like quite right to have this like on two separate lines. So if you could potentially have those arrows, so you have the right one on the right and the left one on the left. So and perhaps kind of keep the do something with this kind of rows per page, like maybe have that somewhere in the middle. I mean, because the way this design kind of follows more what you'd get on a.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah, it's like a mini desktop. Yeah. Mini desktop version. Yeah, I see your point, Jag. So it doesn't make it touch friendly. So Aditi, I would say it's fine to take longer on these, and let's get them right. Let's get them properly mobile friendly. Jag, would you be able to just feedback on what Aditi's done and just maybe put something in an email or on Slack?
Sure.
Yeah,
no problem.
I think that would be really great. So Aditi, don't hesitate to reach out to Jag if there's anything you want to check about designs. Do copy me as well. But this is definitely Jag's territory. So yeah, it's fine to take longer. Let's get them properly mobile friendly.
Okay, Kat.
Okay, Aditi, do you have any other questions? That's all. Okay. Anybody has any? So that's all from our end, Kat. We can proceed with our backlog building.
Okay, sounds good.
Let's stop sharing.
So yeah, sure. So I'll share my screen, guys. What I would like to do today with both Jag on the call and you guys on the call is talk about how we're going to manage institution hierarchy, because that is what we're doing next, and all of the stories that we're developing in the next sprint will use that hierarchy. So I think what we need to do is have a data model. So we need to agree what that data model is. And then we need to make sure that the data model and the UX design complement each other. So I'd like to work through creating departments and creating programs and assigning users to those different levels, see what kind of questions people have. And then I think what I would like to be done, this is probably a back-end task, is to have a data model so we're really clear on how this is working. Because I think that is going to be very, very important for the next sprint and for the stories. Is that okay?
Yes, Kat.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so can you see my screen?
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah, yes or no? Yes.
Are you sharing your screen, Kath?
Well, I thought I was. Maybe I'm not. Let's try again.
My side either.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can see that we have these stories at the top. I posted these on Slack at the end of last week. So this is all creating a department. This is about the site admin, the new site admin, being able to create users. And this is also about joining users and site admins to departments and schools. I've focused on departments first, but we also have programs as well. These are further down because I think we just need to crack the data model really. And I think departments is probably where we start. So rather than walk through these stories, because I think once we're sort of clear on that data model, I'll do some more refinement of these stories. I'd like to just walk through a document that I put together and just get your thoughts and questions on this. So this relates to some of the information that I posted on Slack, but it just frames it slightly differently. So I'm just going to walk through this document and then we'll talk about sort of any questions we have and we'll kind of think about implementation. And then Jag, do you have any draft, because I mean, you've been looking at these stories, do you have any draft designs to share today?
Not right yet.
Okay.
Working my head around this.
Okay, so we'll talk about the UX side of it as well. So probably what we'll do is we'll work through this document, we'll talk about the data model, and then we'll kind of have a look at the current interface and then think about how departments could be created, right, that would work. So let's do that. That then gives you a basis for the design. Sound okay?
Yeah.
Great, okay. So as you guys are aware, I think, from the recent conversations with Vue about the Education Program API, we have this 3-level hierarchy for institution, department, and program. So these are the 3 levels. You can probably see it a bit more clearly here. Don't know how well you can see this. Shall I make this bigger?
Yes, please.
Yeah, let me share. I'll share this document as well in the chat. So
Yeah,
you guys can always, let me do that. And you guys can look at it on your side. Yeah, so we have a 3-level hierarchy. We have institution at the top, and then an institution can have one or many children, departments and schools. These are typically campuses. So it will usually be, if you have a big university may have campuses or departments that are, maybe in different locations. And these can be quite autonomous. So you might actually have a team here and a team here in real life, right? So we're not talking systems, we're talking people with real jobs. So you might have a very different team managing this department to managing this department. And then within department, you have one or many programs. And obviously programs are the lowest level, so you cannot have anything below that. So institutions have children and departments have children, but programs don't have any children. It's, I think I've mentioned this previously, it is unusual to actively use all 3 levels of the hierarchy. That's somewhat frustrating. So often what we'll find is an institution may have multiple campuses, but they don't really have different programs. They just have one program, which means that you get this sort of default program created here called all programs. In other cases, we find that an institution may have a lot of different programs, but they only really have one department. So you might get a default department, sort of institution, one department, and then multiple programs. So what I'm saying is the institution hierarchy is not, it's not very efficient, really. That, you know, we don't really make use of all 3 levels. However, Pearson VUE are completely dependent on it. We have to have these 3 levels. That came out during our conversations about the education program API as well. So this 3-level hierarchy absolutely has to exist. A code is generated at each level for each entity. So the institution has a code, a unique three character code. A department will have a 2-part code. And if there are multiple departments within an institution, these codes are different. As you see here, you would never have multiple departments having the same code. And then the programs will each have their own code as well. So department inherits the institution code, R7N, and then there's the second part is unique to the department. The program will inherit the first 2 parts of the code, institution, and so I've got that wrong. Okay, can you spot the mistake?
Yes, Kath, it has to be swag.
Yes. Yes. So actually that's completely wrong. That's wrong on my diagram, so I'll change that. So these 2 should be the other way around. Yeah, so we've got these 2 programs here and these 2 programs here, so I'll correct that.
Okay.
So program will inherit 2 parts of the code, and then you'll have the unique program code at the end. Students will allocate, so I've covered this, there's 3 levels of the hierarchy. Yeah, so we've got single or multiple programs. A program cannot have any children. And then students will allocate at the program level. So they allocate through the Pearson VUE system WebNG at this level. They'll allocate to a specific program. And you can see that here. So we've got the example of university, institution is Argosy, the campus here, for example, we've got different departments. We've got Atlanta, we've got Chicago, we've got Dallas. They're all different departments here. And then there is actually, in this case, just one default program per department, which is called all programs. But it's at that level that the candidate will allocate. If Atlanta GA department, campus, had more than one program, those programs would be listed individually as separate lines. So student would then allocate to the postgraduate program, for example, or the MBA program. We know from the product sold notifications, and I realize that we're still trying to understand those R10 product sold notifications, but we know that they include the program code because it has to be clear where the candidate has allocated. What we don't know at the moment is how the candidate is flagged in those notifications, but that's something we're trying to find out. So students allocate at the program level, but there's a problem because often they will allocate to the wrong program. And you can imagine if you're faced with this, if I was a student, a test taker, and I was faced with this and I had to find somewhere to send my scores, I would be really super confused. So as a result, we know that students either don't send their scores at all, or they often send them to the wrong place. This is a big problem for our customers, for our institutions. So one way we can resolve this is say, even though on the Pearson VUE side, students allocate at program level, on our side, we can have it so that when you search for a score report by registration ID, you just search within the whole institution. So I guess in practice, what that would mean is that we would get that product notification with information of where the student had allocated. But we would, I mean, I don't know what this would look like on back end, but we would sort of store that just against the institution code, so that when just going to jump into, sorry, wrong site. This always happens. So when I am searching for my registration ID, I'm actually, no matter where I am in that institution hierarchy, as a site admin or a score report user, I can search for any score report allocated to the whole institution, i.e. the top level of the hierarchy. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So my question to you guys is that what we're currently doing? We don't have any departments or programs built in yet. We just have institutions. When I search for a score report using registration ID, I am presumably just searching against the institution, right? I think that must be what we're currently doing. I just wanted to confirm that. Can anyone tell me?
We are not able to give an ID and first we'll try to retrieve. Yeah, we are using only registration ID only, Cat. No appointment, no other appointment.
Yeah.
ID, and after retrieving the score, we'll try to find where the candidate has the proper allocation. If he or she has allocation, then we'll bring back the score report object. Otherwise, we'll give error message.
Right. So, because I think at the moment, the only way I've tested this, because we haven't had any other roles apart from system admin so far. So the only way I've been able to test retrieving a score report is as a system admin, and a system admin isn't joined to any institution. They sit above the institutions. So what I'm not sure about is whether we have, or whether the previous team implemented the ability for any user to search for registration ID at the institution level, right? And if we don't have that built in, then we're going to need to do it. So we'll need a task for it. And I think this is also, to be honest, we're also trying to find out more about products sold, aren't we? So I think it may be related to the conversations we're having about getting those notifications from R10 about where the scores have been allocated. But my question is, do we need a task in the next sprint, probably, that anybody who is within, where was I previously? Anybody who is within this hierarchy can retrieve a score report that is allocated to code R7N. So the students allocate here, they will send their scores to a program, but all we care about is the R7N. All we care about is the institution they've allocated to, because it means that anybody, any user, no matter where they are in the hierarchy, can retrieve that report. And I'm not sure if we need a task for that. Do you understand the concept? Do you understand what I'm saying about how we can retrieve score reports?
Yes.
Yeah. So my question is, do we need to implement this, or have we already done it? Has the previous team already done it?
We'll check and let you know.
Yeah, that would be better. Yeah, we will check and update you.
That would be great. Yeah, that would be great. Because as I say, all I've done so far is test as a system admin, because obviously we've only just created the site admin role. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what we still need to implement. So if you guys can check the database, that would be great.
Okay, Kath.
Okay, grand. So that's sort of slightly separate to our discussion, because that's about retrieving score reports. But it could be that we still need to have a task in the sprint to make sure that score reports can be retrieved at the institution level. So the main thing I want to discuss today is not about viewing reports. It's actually about managing users. So we now need to determine the access permissions for the new score reporting website, given that we have a site admin role and a score report user role. We need to decide who gets access to what, and this is where I think we need a data model. So in terms of what the system roles can do, this is what I think we have currently. We have system admin, who can create, read, update, and delete institutions. We have a system admin who can also create, read, update, or delete users within institutions. And they can retrieve reports for any user, right? So system admin is above the institution hierarchy. Do you guys agree with that statement? Do you agree that that's what we currently have?
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay. Now we have a site admin. So this is the new role that you guys have been working on in the current sprint. So site admin can create, read, update, and delete other site admins within their institution. They can create, read, update, and delete score report users within their institution. And they can retrieve reports. This is a bit that we need to check, allocated to their institution, so allocated at the top level of the hierarchy. Do you guys agree with that statement? Or is there anything here that it surprises you?
No, as expected. It is as expected.
We agree with that statement, Kath?
Sorry?
We agree with that statement.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then score report user. Score report user cannot see any other users, and they cannot create any other users. So when they go in to the score report website, when they log in, they will only see search. They would not see manage users because they don't do that at all. So they get a simplified version of the interface.
Yeah,
It's okay.
Ooh, sorry, I'm jumping around on screen. So their main job is to retrieve score reports, right? Does that make sense?
yes,
Okay, great. So this is what we currently have, and it explains the difference between site admin and score report users. Site admin can create users and see users they have created, and then the score report user cannot. So how does this work in relation to the hierarchy? I did a lot of analysis around the current score reporting website to understand, the existing site. I wanted to understand how it worked. And I think it's more complicated than it needs to be. So I think for our new score reporting website that we're building, we should simplify this a bit. So this is what I am suggesting, and this is where I would like your feedback. And this is from a UX perspective as well, Jag. So as a general rule, a site admin within an institution who is associated with a specific kind of entity, institution or department school, will automatically have access to the users associated with any direct descendant as well. Okay, so in the current score reporting website, the live site, this is not a given. You can have a site admin who is created, who's joined to this department, for example, AA, who would not necessarily have access to programs AAA and programs AAB. But what I want to do is say, if we've joined a site admin here, then they also have access to these programs. It's just automatic cascading permissions, basically. If I join a site admin at institution A level, so they have the whole, they can see everybody below the institution, right? So that's what I want to suggest. Does that make sense?
yes.
Perfect. Okay. So that's a bit of a change, right? So in the current score reporting website, that doesn't necessarily happen. Jag, so we're gonna just say any thoughts on that?
Makes sense. Everyone below, so at whatever point you're giving them access.
Yeah, I can't think why. I just can't think why I would be site admin of a campus, AA, and I wouldn't get access to the programs, which doesn't make any sense to me at all. So I think we should just say, look, you get access here, then you get access here. However, a site admin who is AA doesn't get access to these, right? Unless they were also joined to that department. So it doesn't assume that just because I'm at this level, I get access to the whole of the lower level. I just get access to the children of my department. That's what I'm proposing.
Is there ability to rejoin them? So could you be department AA and then have the opportunity to also join you with AB, and then you can have both?
AB, that's a great question. So we'll come to that, and that's one thing that is bugging me a bit. So yeah, let's come on to that in a minute. So institution A must have we must have a site admin here. Otherwise, how is anybody going to create users? So say we've got, okay guys, this is where there is potential to get a little bit lost. So you may need to go away and read this document afterwards, but I'll try and explain it as best I can. So we need a site admin here at the A level, and there can be multiple admins. It doesn't just have to be one. So you can have multiple admins associated with institution A. They will have access also to any departments that are below A, and obviously any programs that are below those departments. So they have access to the whole institution hierarchy. A site admin can create another site admin. So you could have a site admin at institution A who can then create another site admin at that level, or they can create a site admin at this level, AA or AB. Let's check that this is what I've got here. Yeah, or they can also create site admins at this level. So you can create site admins at any level of the hierarchy. And that threw me a bit at first, because I thought, well, surely you just have a site admin up here. You wouldn't necessarily have site admins down here. But actually, again, if we've got an institution, a very, very big university with a quite decentralized authority, it could be that we've got a massive program here, like a big MBA program, or a big postgraduate program, and that's run by a team. So it could be that actually you do want an admin at this level who's going to manage that program and manage users for that program. So it should be possible to create site admins at any level of the hierarchy. And I think it should also be possible to create score report users at any level of the hierarchy too. So if I'm here, I can create site admins and score report users at this institution level, or I can create them here, or I can create them here. If I have created a site admin here, then I'm assuming that I'm going to delegate to this guy, and this guy will actually be creating users for these programs and for their department. But we don't know that. So I think that's why we want those cascading permissions. Is that all making sense so far? This is a bit where it gets a little bit more confusing, right? So do let me know if it's not making sense.
Okay, if we create a site admin at a program level, so he or she will she have access to the respective department or the respective institution?
Okay, good question. So you're saying if I create a site admin at program level? No, they don't get access to the department. They will only get access to their program. Okay. So a site admin that's created for AA will get access to, will be able to create users at the department level. They cannot create users at the institution level because that's above them, but they can create users at the program level, these two programs specifically, not these two programs, because it's below them. Okay. Yeah, and if I've got a site admin at program level, then I've got nowhere else to go. So all I can do is create users for my program. I can't, I can't go up and I can't go down because there's nowhere to go. There's no fourth level of the hierarchy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Jag, any thoughts on that?
Right now.
Yeah. I mean, the rule is really that you've got you really want this idea of a user here being able to delegate to someone here and a user here being able to delegate to an admin here, but it may not happen. It may have that the user here does everything, creates the departments, manages the users, creates the programs and manages the users, which is why we need those cascading permissions. But ideally, what Mr. Admin at institution A would do is say, actually, I want an admin here and I want an admin here because I want them to manage this department and these programs. So we need to cater for both. We need to design for both. School report users are a little weird because the school report user doesn't see anyone else. So actually, my original thought was actually doesn't matter. You don't need to assign them to any part of the hierarchy because they're not going to see any other users here, right? So a site admin here will see users for AA and they will see users for AAA and AAB. They will see users for all of this branch. But a school report user doesn't see anyone else. So actually, do we even need to worry about assigning school report users to a part of the hierarchy? But of course we do, because if we don't do that, then our site admin might create users for this program and then not see them because the site admin can only see that program. So we do actually need to associate a school report user with institutions, departments, and programs as well. And again, we need to be flexible and say the school report users might be at this level, or they might be at this level, or they might be at this level. So it follows the same rules, I guess, as the site admin. It's just that school report users cannot see anyone else, whereas the site admin can. So that's the model. Now to Jag's question, which is a really good one. Can any user be associated with more than one entity? So can a site admin exist here and then the same site admin also manages department AB? I would really rather not, to be honest. I would really rather that didn't happen because I just think it's more complex. However, I do think it may be a need. One thing I'm wondering is maybe, and let me know both from UX and technical perspective, perhaps what we could do is build in the ability to do that. So build it into the data model, but actually hide it at front end so that actually when site admin here is creating a site admin and associating them with the department and school, it looks like you can just join them to one department rather than multiple departments. And maybe that's what we implement at the front end to start with, and then just see if we get pushback, but keep the technical ability to associate a site admin with more than one entity at the same level. What do you guys think about that?
I think so.
Don't mind who speaks first.
Yes, that's it. I think it's a good approach. We've got, as long as we've got the sort of back end in place, so it's not something that we have to then go and go back to if we find out later that it is an important need. So as long as that's there, I think we can start off with just hiding it, just keeping it simple for now.
Because my hunch is that if the same user needs to manage the same admin, sorry, I'll be specific and just talk about site admins rather than school report users. If the same site admin needs to exist at different entities, at different departments in the same level, then they'd probably just be at this level, really. Yeah. There'd just be another admin here. And I don't feel like I've seen a lot of evidence yet that you would need a site admin joined to multiple departments. So I think, guys, maybe we build it into the data model. We build in the ability to do that in the future. We future-proof, but we just with the UX, with the front end design, when you're associating a site admin with a department, we just give them the ability to associate with one department. That's what I would recommend.
Okay, fine.
Does that make sense from your perspective?
Yes, Captain.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So I've talked about score report users. So I think I've covered everything. Do you have any questions about this? Does it seem straightforward? Or are there any particular concerns that you have about this model? Is there anything you want to clarify? Anything worry you about it? Does it seem unnecessarily complex, or yeah?
Yeah. We can create site admin at institution level or department level or program level, right?
Yep.
So in the similar way, can we also create a score report user, at institution level and department level?
I have come to the conclusion that yes, and that this wasn't an easy. I had to really think about this. I believe that yes, we should be able to create, or rather, that the admin should be able to create a score report user at any level of the hierarchy. And I think it's because we need to keep it flexible, because we're dealing with large institutions and small institutions. And, for some, you're just going to have one guy here who really just wants to use this level, and this will be a default, and this will be a default. This might just say something like, I don't know, all departments, and this might just say all programs. And this is the most important level. So I think, yeah, I mean, I suppose we could say that you can only create score report users at the program level, because actually anybody here would get access here. But then that doesn't work if you have a site admin. I'm still tying myself in knots with this one, because I'm wondering actually if it would make sense just to create a score report user at program level, because actually everybody can see that score report user anyway, right? So yeah, the guys here can see them and the guys here can see them, and that would simplify it, wouldn't it? I think it would make it easier if, when we're joining a score report user, we would just join them to a program or a department. Jack, do you have any thoughts on this? It's a difficult one to wrap your head around, isn't it, really? Because I'm just trying to think what we would gain and lose. So if I just create score report users at program level, that means that the site admin at program level can see them. The admin at the department level can see them, because they can see all of the programs. And the admin at institution level can see them. So question to the team. Technically, does it simplify it if we can just, so I'm not talking about UX or front end or journey, but kind of back end. Is it simpler if we implement a rule that you can only add a score report user at one level of the hierarchy, which would be program? Is it simpler? Or does it not make any difference?
I don't think so. It makes any difference. I don't think so. It makes any difference.
Okay. Because what I'm not going to do is create a rule if we don't need one, I guess. I think it's more, Jag, that it would be simpler from a UX perspective, right? I think.
Yeah, I think
yeah. So I think that's maybe our question is, from a UX perspective, is it easier if we just create a score report user at the program level? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to have a bit more of a think about that one. And just kind of work through all the different levels, and then, But I think this one. Okay, so we've agreed that from a technical perspective, it doesn't make any difference. I think it's the UX that's really key here. So I guess this is where we need your input, Jag, when you're working on the designs, to think about whether it would make it easier just to join a school report user to a program.
Yeah, let me work through how that looks, and then we can kind of, I think, have a clearer picture of that.
Yeah.
It might come.
Okay. So that one we'll defer to Jag a bit, and we'll see what Jag comes up with. So I have a bunch of stories that all relate to this, and I'll need to, before we move into planning next week, I'll need to finalize these. They're pretty detailed. I just need to make sure that the detail is correct based on our latest discussions. The next thing we need are designs. So we need to think about how we're going to approach this from a design perspective. And one, I guess, major principle I would like to suggest, let's just go in a sec. So in thinking about these designs, I would like to, am I in production? Yeah, oh well, what the hell. So I'm in as a super admin because that's the only role I have right now. And I can see all the institutions, and then I can open the institution and I can see the users. So what we're thinking about now is how we create departments and ultimately programs, but let's take departments first, because I think, we shouldn't take on too much at once. So we need to think about how either a system admin or a site admin can create a department, what that looks like, and then how they will join users to that department. And one thing I really want to suggest is that we keep, I don't quite know how to explain this, but we keep creating users a little bit separate to creating departments. So I worry about a situation where I would create, so we've got Brunel University, which is the institution. Now imagine I've created a department. So I don't know, Jag, maybe we have an icon here that says to create department. I mean, this is kind of over to you really. But so we have the ability to create a department, a second level within Brunel University. I would, I guess, kind of worry about a situation when we then had to open that department to create a user, because I'd like to keep the management of users and the management of the hierarchy a bit separate. And that's because in the future, we may want to add a user to multiple departments. So I think we've done the same thing on English Benchmark, right, with the admins. We kept them outside, because otherwise we'll have that situation, I think, where you've got to go into department to create a user. Oh, okay, now that user needs to be part of multiple departments because we're future-proofing. Yeah. Then we might run into trouble. So I think what I'd like to do is keep the creation of users at the institution level, but maybe we have something in this form where you can actually join them to a department and you select which department it is. That's just off the top of my head, and that's based on what we've done for Benchmark. But I think this is what we have to do first. We have to look at how departments get created by either a system admin or a site admin, and then how we join users to that department. And then I think we move on to programs, but I feel like we should probably do departments first.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah, I mean this
okay.
one, like I say, it's quite similar to Benchmark, isn't it? How we do it.
Yeah. So
yes. What is the point of doing it program?
Just a minute, Kath.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. You guys talk and then let us know.
Thanks for holding, Kath.
Kath,
No problem.
we just came up with a scenario which we had when we did our college. So in our college,
Yeah.
we had the same head of department for our electrical engineering as well as civil engineering. Well, is that going to be a scenario over here as well?
Sorry, can you repeat that? I heard the first part and then it got a bit muffled.
I'm sorry.
So we've got a head of department.
So we have head of department. Okay. So one
Yep.
head of department taking care of two departments. Say, I'm
Yeah.
taking the electrical engineer HOD. I mean, head of department. The work for. I mean, the work for taking care of civil engineering department as well.
So we basically we've got a guy here.
Yeah.
For AA who
Yeah,
also taking care of AB.
Yep.
And what would we do? Is that the question?
Yeah. I mean, is that a scenario?
Yeah, so that's actually the question that Jag raised before. So
Yeah.
should we have a user who can be joined to multiple entities within this level, within the same level? And what I've suggested is that we build that into the back end. So that's part of our data model. But from a front end perspective, at this stage, we don't show it. So we only enable a user to be one department to be selected. We only enable a user to be associated with one department.
Multi-select.
Yeah, we have to. In that case, you have to bring a
multi-select. Multi-select back, right?
Yep. So
you can keep array.
we have to keep array.
Yeah, okay. Okay, Kat, it's fine.
Yeah. So the alternative is we do say you can select multiple departments, but I think at this stage we should try and just keep it a bit simpler and just build in the. I mean, I think we should definitely have it as part of our data model. I think we should definitely build in the ability to do it. I just think at the front end in the interface, we should hide it. So it should just be that you would select one department for that user, right? Or one program for a user. That makes sense?
Yeah,
yes,
it does.
Okay, awesome. So what I'm going to suggest, because it's quite a lot to take in, is that Jag, you work on the designs for creating a department and associating users with that department, and we do that first. And then what I would ask the team to do is actually, can we draw up some kind of data model about how this would work in the back end?
Sure.
So the kind of almost like I guess it's like a relational model or something like that. So you can see how everything is connected, and then we can just take a look at it. And then it'd be good for Ian to see that as well. And then we can just make sure that what we're doing at back end is complemented by what we're doing with the UI design. So yeah, I think that's what we should do next. Does anybody have time to work on that this week?
I can do that.
Okay, that would be brilliant. Hopefully it won't take too long. I guess it's not overly complicated. So it shouldn't take too long. So yeah, if we could then review that. And the thing I will think about is the score report user and the program levels. So do we just have score report users at the program level? That's the thing I'll go away and have a think about and come to a conclusion on how we manage that. So that's what I wanted to talk about today, because there are stories for the next sprint. Kalpana, are there any other stories that you were thinking or the team were thinking we would put into the next sprint? I sort of feel like there's quite a lot to do here just by dealing with departments and associating users with departments. So that's where I would like to focus on that from a business stories perspective. But is there anything else that you were thinking to go into the sprint?
Just a second, Kath.
Sure.
let it go back to the backlog.
Okay. Kat, we are okay with your plan. We don't have any additional requirements from our end for the next sprint.
Okay, that's great. So I think what we can do is now we've got that site admin role, we can start to build on that and start to build in, the ability to join that site admin to departments and having created those departments. So I feel like it's a natural progression. Okay, that sounds good. That sounds good. That's what we'll focus on. So really, Jag, it's kind of over to you on the UX side. Do you feel confident about having the designs ready? Kalpana, when is the latest we would need them?
Would be better to have it by Friday, Kat, because we start next sprint from Monday. So Thursday or Friday should be fine.
Okay, that would be great. Jag, how do you feel?
Yeah, Friday I can get them over.
Friday, okay.
And don't hesitate to talk to me, Jag, any point if you just want to work it through, because I realise it's a bit, it requires a bit of thought, really. So, okay, that's good. I wonder if it would be useful then, if you're going to have the designs ready by Friday, I just wonder if it'd be useful for us to schedule a brief call, maybe just to have a look at them with the team.
Yeah, we could do it,
Yeah.
Kat?
Kalpana, is that possible? Are you guys around on Friday?
Yes, we will be scheduling the review call on Friday. So together, once we are done with review, we can.
Okay. So review Friday. Yep. That's perfect. Then why don't we have a look at the designs at that point and just we can make sure that we're all happy with them. That would be great.
Perfect.
And who's going to work on the data model in the team?
Srivatsan would be taking care of it.
Srivatsan. Okay, awesome. Srivatsan. So yeah, just share that whenever it's ready, and copy Ian Moss to it as well, because he's also looking at this with me.
Yeah, definitely.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, guys. So I think that's all for now. I will update the stories before planning. Well, when we've sort of seen the designs, I might need to go back to the stories and then just sort of change some of the detail. But I think other than that, I'm just going to let Jag have some space and work through the designs, and then we'll have a look at them together on Friday.
Okay, Kat, fine.
All right. Okay. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you. Thanks, Jag.
Okay. Have a good day. Bye-bye.